What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex, the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, match day 2 and 3 are in the books, and we're going to break down each day individually, talk about all that, also get to some news. It looks like some teams are going to get signed, which is pretty big. And then we will also talk a little bit after the interview of the Conduit versus the Horizon, because it's been discussed. They had an interview with Raven on the broadcast, talking a little bit about why he chooses the Horizon over it. But we'll have our own discussion and all of that coming up here in just a second. First, let's check in with the boy, N9ne. E, how are you feeling, my man?
I am tired. I'm not going to lie. It's grind season. I'm really happy. I got a decent amount of things cooking that have been going really well. And I'm excited and optimistic for the future. And yeah, nothing to complain about. How are you?
I am doing very, very good. Everything is chilling back here. I feel great. I got this brand new video switcher, and I'm going to be throwing up some graphics here on the good old camera view for me. So if you're watching on the YouTube, this is the perfect time, because this is me just testing it out. In the future, I'm going to have graphics lined up. And guess who made these graphics? None other than the legend himself, Jayhawk. So if you're listening, I would consider going down to the YouTube, giving it a watch, maybe a subscribe, whatever you want to do, because we're going to be having some breakdowns as well. I plan on having some more like content in the future on the YouTube, where we can throw in some clips from some of the bigger moments on each of these days. Especially, I mean, Designful himself could run an entire show with all the clips he puts out. Designful is a clip machine. If you don't watch Disguised for the Pro League stuff, you should at the very least watch it for Designful Freakouts, because they are so funny. They are so great. And they just keep finding ways to bounce back. Design is a big part of that. We'll talk about Disguise here in a second, but I am doing great. I am doing good. Without further ado, ladies and gents, let's just throw it right into ALGS action from this last weekend. Obviously, we had match day 2, match day 3. I'm going to break it down. Let's kick it off with match day 2 first. Match day 2 was a crazy day, because Luminosity came out and showed everybody what exactly they are made of. Luminosity wins the day. They get first with 72 points. Moist Esports comes in second, and that is off of the back of a contest against Legacy. That's got to be one of the toughest teams you got to contest against right off rip. Legacy. You got to go right up against them, formerly LG Chivas, for those who don't know who Legacy is right now. Very good fighting team. They get second place off of that. Furia gets third, Dropping Gaming fourth, and Disguised in fifth. That rounds out the top 5. Some of the other notable teams from around this scoreboard here, we got TSM right outside of top 5. Disguised wins the last game of the set, which ended up pushing TSM out of the top 5, because they were basically sitting there the whole day. We have N9ne Lies at 7th, who you're going to hear from them in just a moment, the interview. Then we had Legacy down there at 12th, Native Gaming at 13th, Oxygen struggling a little bit at 15th, and then Xset way down there at 17th. So those are some of the other notable teams that were struggling just a tad from around day number 2. Let's kick it off here with just Luminosity. They're our winner. They dominated. They had a 20-kill game at one point on World's Edge. They were playing so good. They did have some bad performances. I think two games where they didn't have the best rotate, but it doesn't really matter, because they got enough kills and some high placements to combat that. E, what did you see from Luminosity in match day number 2?
Yeah, so their placements were pretty phenomenal. They got a 2nd and 8th so they got a 2nd and 5, 8 with 5, 2nd with 9, 16 with first, so kind of a dud in round 4, and then round 5 they get the dub with 20 kills. Dude, that game, their round 5, they just did not die.
They had all the reason to die. And
yeah, they just did not die. And then just all of the teams that arguably should have killed them died to LG, and they were just racking up kills. I do think that they put on a pretty good masterclass on how effective the Conduit, Bang, Cat can be. And it's also a I feel like this was their day of coming out and showing how good they were in terms of being a fighting team. We didn't get to see them take, like, if you look at their day one compared to their day two, they picked up substantially more kills. They were involved in substantially more fights, and we actually got to see a little bit of the LG that I know that Sweet has been excited about showing. And I think it is showing how strong of an IGL Sweet is, especially when he has two roller players at his disposal. And this is the first time we've seen him with that advantage, and he's showing that he's worth the hype.
Yeah, this was I don't want to say a Sweet Dreams masterclass because there was some games that were a little bit unfortunate, and they also benefited on Storm Point from like really decent zones from where they drop at Zeus Cannon. They did have some zones that were pretty favorable for them, and that's going to happen sometimes, but they still had to play it right, and that's exactly what they did. They had one on Storm Point where they are playing on this like rock area. There's like a ridge. I think it's right outside of Command Center. And TSM comes from the outside underneath. Sweet is able to swing himself all the way around by himself. He's able to call out for the Conduit ult on top of their tree, forces them out from being able to hide behind the tree. He's taking shots with the 30-30, peppering them to shit. They are just completely down, out, and then they get the kills on that. He had so many plays in this game or in this set, in this day, where he was continuously able to find the right play in the right spot every single time there was a dogfight about to take place. On the 20 kill game, the one that they went on World's Edge, he's up top on the ridge next to the train station across from Lava Siphon, and he's able to call his two teammates to go down by themselves into an area behind some it's like a little C train. He calls it out, says, you need to wall from this area to this area. It needs to connect. They get the wall out, go all the way down. They're able to hide behind there. Sweet gets the wingman, and then he just starts going to work. Like every single time they needed to formulate a good, solid area to get a fight, they would do it. Another thing that I'm noticing a lot with LG that I think goes into the little bucket of having an M&K player on your team rather than all three controllers is the fact that he can scout. He's always able to go around and scout on his own. Where I
Especially
feel
on
like
Bangalore, dude. Oh my
yes,
gosh, the
yes,
Bangalore tap straight. Like if you get a player on M&K who knows what they're doing movement wise, and you get them on Bangalore, it's just the like like Bangalore is 100% M&K legend in my opinion. Like yes, you can get by playing with a controller, but there's just so much of Bangalore's potential that you just is not accessible on roller.
exactly. And his ability to scout makes it to where he can take those things by himself. You can trust him out there on his own to be able to get back. There may be a time here and there where he gets sniped or something bad happens and it may mess up the game, but with his ability to do that, it sets up the rest of the team to be successful through all the other things that happen and allows him to find the next play for them perfectly. Slayer and Funk, I mean, I'm talking a lot about Sweet. Slayer and Funk were nothing to slouch at either. Slayer had one of his best days as far as just playing that catalyst, making sure the wall was going in the right places. Some of his walls were fucking insane. Even on the bad games, I think Sweet goes down. He's able to wall perfectly so that the other team can't push them. They're able to get Sweet up. I think they end up dying shortly after that, but it was not because of Slayer. Like that was a really solid wall. Even in game one, he walls to. I mean, Sweet didn't love the wall that much because he was fighting the guy who eventually I think they end up killing. They were trying to get the KP for it. I think they knew they were playing for second place on that one, but his walls were insane. And then Funk, dude, this fucking guy, 20 kills on the day. You give Sweet 20 kills, not from him on his team, they're gonna perform, and they're gonna perform well. This team, in my mind, I think there was a lot of questions, and it sounded like after each and every game they were kind of bringing up Reddit and like a lot of people talking about how they were going to perform. this should, at least for now, quiet a lot of that. I know this is just one day, but this, I mean, they've performed well on both the days that they've played. You can't really take too much away from them, and it seems like they're just getting stronger, more cohesive as a unit. We're going to get to Disguised here in a little bit too, but I bring them up because it is a complete 180 flip from how Disguised comms to how LG comms. LG's comms, they're airtight, they're solid. There's a lot of things Disguised has to work on here, and I think they could take a lot from LG. No disrespect to Disguised, I'm just saying, like, you listen to some of their comms. Sweet's taking accountability for some of the things he's doing that are wrong, and everybody's kind of throwing ideas back and forth with the ultimate catch being that Sweet will make the final call. And I think with Disguise, we don't exactly know who's going to be making that final call quite yet. LG, we know. And the guy who's making that final call is making a very solid call every single time. LG played really, really well. I'm excited for this team moving forward. I said before the season started that I thought they would do well. I didn't expect it to be like this. And also, they were just extremely fun to watch. Like, this was a team that, like I said, those two plays alone were, the juice worth the squeeze. But there was also the play in game one where they're in the nut right outside of North Pad, and they have to go across, and they're able to get second place in that game. I don't know how they managed that. And I think it was either Slayer or Funk who said after the game was over, "Sweet, you're like the greatest, what was it? Best shitty situation IGL." And he's got a great point because they were in some tough spots, but they managed to do it every single time. Also, funny moment in their 20 kill win, Sweet literally got up from his chair and turned on his fan with sub 5 squads left when he was hiding behind that little concrete slab next to the train station. Got up from his chair and walked over to go turn on his fan. I was watching Jayhawk stream, shout out Jayhawk, and he was like, "What did Sweet just do? Did he just disconnect?" Because we thought he just like disconnected because his player just stopped moving in the middle of this fight. Sweet literally got up and turned his fan on, walked across the room, turned it on, and was still able to get the win. Shout out LG. Great match from them. Great day from them. They are winners. LG was awesome. LG was awesome. Moving on into the other teams here. We got Moist, Furia, Drop In, and Disguised. I'll kind of let you take whichever team you want to talk about here from the rest of that top five. Moist obviously had the contest against Legacy. They were able to come away with that. Furia had some good performances as well. Who kind of caught your eye out of the rest of the top five there?
I would say it was a really good performance from Furia. They definitely had a lot of haters, especially coming into this, given the fact that they had dropped Vaxlon in order to pick up Watson and then get signed by the org. But they are showing that that wasn't just a move in order to get the contract, and that it's a move that they were completely confident in making. And from a spectator, it's nice to see Watson be in a position where he's able to have fun and enjoy his experience playing Apex Comp. Definitely being teammates with Keon is a huge part of that. And then I also think having Madness alleviating those IGL needs and really just freeing him up to just do his thing and be put in the right spots. And it's a team that I think that we're going to see them do better and better as the season goes on. And I think that they're looking, at least right now, like an absolute lock for LAN.
Yeah, they're playing really, really well. I love your point about Madness taking over the IGL, kind of alleviating a little bit from his Watson on that. I think we should talk to Skies a little bit. I think we should talk to Skies a little bit, mostly
The
because
Game 6 Warriors.
they can't lose a game six. It's not in their DNA. It's not in their blood. But other than game six, there's some question marks here. And I went through and I watched every single game to try and figure out exactly what I could pinpoint was wrong here. And there's a lot. And a lot of people wanted to pin it all on design. I don't think that's fair. He does have the rage moments. He does have the moments where he, loses it a little bit. But there were some plays here made by both Timmy and Enemy that are little bit of head scratchers. And I think from design's perspective, like it's fair to kind of lose it at that moment. I just maybe not losing it as much to where it turns into a copy pasta for everybody to like tweet out like Hal's doing right now. But yeah, their design does have some moments where it costs them some games. They're obviously like in, I don't know if this was day one or day two. I believe it was was it day one or day two? Yeah, it was day one. On game two, they easily could have won that game. Design opts to go up onto the roof. I think that ends up costing them a little bit. Timmy had a really good spot. All they had to do was kind of wait till that team on the roof was forced out by the storm. They could have, just climbed up, taken that kill, taken the kills, taken the win. I think that was fair. But there was also some plays where Timmy, it seemed like he was going into streamer mode a little bit, sliding down hills completely uncovered, trying to get shots off. Enemy a little late on rotates, getting him caught out in the open, getting him shot and downed. So there were some things they got to work on. They get stuck in the storm a little bit too, as well. Being in there a little bit too long, rotates taking a little bit too long. So I understand why people want to throw all the shade at design. I think it's the easy thing to do though, because I just right now, I don't think it's entirely design's fault. What did you see? Or I almost called you Timmy. What did you see, Enoch?
They definitely really struggled to put it together. I didn't get to watch them as closely as you were able to. Um, but they're definitely I feel like they're showing more of weaknesses as a team now than we saw from them the entirety of their land run. Uh, it definitely seems like they're going through a little bit of a rough patch, and I'm sure that this is just going to be some growing pains. And I'm fairly confident that we'll look at the way that Disguise just played over the last few days, and we'll be like, okay, well, this was the worst that they played the whole season, and they were still able to I mean, like, we're talking about how Disguise had a bad day, and yet they're in fifth, right?
Yeah,
And then
they get fifth on the day.
Disguise has an even worse day 3, and they still get ninth. And so even on, like, this is a team that even on their bad and their worst days, they're performing at a level that some teams would be like, holy shit, guys, we just had the best day of the best apex of our lives, right? And so I think it's a testament to how good this team has the potential to be. And hopefully, if they're all able to get on the same page, really lock in collectively, we'll see something special.
Yeah, we did get this tweet from Designful after day 3 as well. The lads and I have sorted things out and been in a tweak mode since champs, but going to take a more reserved approach and stick to macro because Timmy just activates more team communication. Dude's more compassionate and gives way more intricate detail and visualization to ideas. It's always been a weak spot for me since I am a controller player and still have controller brain activate while I'm shooting at people, and will help the team's pacing and stop me from wigging out and taking it as a punch in the face when I feel like I'm not being listened to. The fellas will be carrying the boats in unison. And I think this is big from Designful too, because I got that vibe when I was listening to all of the team comms throughout the entire thing. It felt like Timmy would throw out an idea and Design would give like well, what about this? And Design was taking their being like, oh no, I don't know, let's just do what Timmy said. I think he was kind of taking it a little bit personally. Like, it sounded like in his mind they weren't listening to him, when I don't know if that's necessarily what they were trying to do or say. They were just trying to get themselves into the best spot. But it's definitely understandable to be feeling that way when, I mean, anybody who feels like they're not being listened to is going to have like somewhat of a reaction, whether it's a Designful's reaction or something else. There's going to be reaction no matter what. So I think that was big of him to kind of like put that out there, because that's probably not something that's that easy to admit, especially when you're in the midst of pro league. Like, we're still in the very, very early stages. I would love to see just a team ran entirely by Timmy, just to see how that goes. I have a feeling it would be a very similar situation to the his Watson madness aspect, right? Like, his Watson, it was so much for him to be in IGL and to not be successful that he literally retired. Like, he didn't want to go anymore. with design, if that's weighing on him so much, where it's like, I need to be getting these calls out, they need to be going right, and they're not. If you give it to Timmy and you're just saying, design, go be design, go shoot, that's what you can do. You're awesome at this. I want to see how that goes. Maybe it takes a little bit of a like pressure off of him. He can focus a little bit more on what he's doing out there. And Timmy's going to have some mistakes. Timmy's not, hasn't been in pro league as long as design, doesn't have that same experience. But I do think it would be interesting to see how that goes. And I would love to see a design who has that pressure lifted off of him so that he can focus on being one of the best controller players to touch the game right now. And so I think that would be something that would be interesting to watch. And I'm very excited to see how they play moving forward. I feel like they always kind of look to design because he had that experience too. Now Timmy has not nearly as much experience, but from the calls that I saw Timmy give out, they weren't bad. Like they weren't bad calls. Most of the time, Timmy had bad plays were just him when it seemed like when they were in like a pinch and a bind, and he felt like he needed to go take care of somebody and kill them all on his own. Like there was one play when they were leaving Lava Siphon, he tried to like tap strafe off of a staircase and shoot like two of the members who were up top on top of this platform. It's like, you're not going to win that in pro league. Like that's just not going to happen. And there was another time where he was sliding down the hill on Storm Point, and there was a guy hiding behind a truck. And it's like, if you take that slide, I mean, you're just wide out in the open for him. And that was one of the plays design called out. It was like, why are you doing that? So yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see. And also, Timmy is the nicest guy in the world. Timmy is just such a nice guy. Like after each and every game, design is absolutely flipping his lid, screaming at enemy, going hard, just saying anything and everything. And Timmy's like, okay, guys, well, here's what I think. So enemy, I can see where you're coming from. And then he would just describe something. And design, I can see where you're coming from too. But this is what we need to do. He's just such a nice guy. It's almost like he needs to be a little bit more mean. He needs to get a little bit more like anger behind the calls a little bit. And then I think we'll see a different Disguised. And by different, by no means am I saying better. I just think a team that will perform a little bit better in the earlier matches, because they seem to always do better in the late matches. It's the earlier ones that are really setting them back. But yeah, that was my thoughts on on Disguised. They're no matter what, if we're ranking teams based on teams you want to watch, you got to put them at like top 3. Like just the things that can happen with this
Oh,
guy's
from an
team.
entertainment aspect, no doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt. You get it all. I know.
It's fun to watch.
I'll have to read off as we end our Disguised. I have to read off the copy pasta from This Is a Design speech to enemy.
After a game one where they failed really bad.
What are you laughing about? It's not fucking funny. You're a fucking moron. That's what, dumbass. First fucking game. The fuck are you doing? Don't get fucking nervous. No fucking jitters. No nothing. Like, dude, you're the one that gets it, bro. You're the one that brings it in. Fucking leave it at the door. Come to fucking work. Iron your fucking mental, dude. Lock it the fuck in. Get comfortable being fucking uncomfortable.
Dude, that's like, remember when you were in like elementary school and there was a bunch of posters on the wall when you entered the classroom? That was like, if you just lined up a bunch of those posters, you're just reading off all of them. That was basically what that was. But it's beautiful. That's why they're so entertaining to watch. That's why it's so funny, is because moments like that happen. Enemy too. Enemy makes me laugh because that dude, him and Design have a weird relationship because they will be shit talking each other the whole game. Design's yelling at Enemy, telling him it's his fault. Enemy's like, fuck you, it's not my fault. And then when they finish and they win a game 6, they are just like laughing, and they'll be like, no, it's your fault. And they're like laughing at one another. And it's just a weird dynamic. That's why you got to watch Disguised. If you're not watching Disguised, you're costing right now. You got to be watching Disguised. Okay, enough of them. Let's get into the other teams here. Obviously, we had TSM. They actually had a decent day as far as placements go. They had a win and they had 2 fourth places, among other things. They didn't really have a really bad game other than game 2. They got 14th with 0 kills. Their issue on this day was just straight up KP. They just weren't getting kills. Other than that, they had a very decent day. But if you look at the list here, the teams around them, so you had Disguised at 5th with 23. You had them with 13, and then it just kind of went down the list. Like if they are managed to get a little bit more kills here, it's an easier day for them, I would say. They just couldn't lock in on the kills. Our boys N9ne Lies. You talk about a preseason team who is surprising people. We already talked about E8, but N9ne Lies is out here, man. They're for real. I think they're for real. They're a very good fighting team. They're not going to get like that crazy game, not yet. They're still a little young in their career, but they're pretty decent. They're pretty decent. Meat Lovers is another team I want to talk about here. I don't know. I want to see Tech do well, but it just hasn't come their way this early. Right now, they're still sitting in the overall standings. They're hovering around 14th, so they're out of Pro League if it were to, or they're out of LAN if it were to end today, but just by a couple points. I'd like to see a little bit more from Meat. I don't know if you've seen anything from them. And then obviously Xset down there with the 17th. They've been struggling a little bit as well. Did you have anything else on day 2 before we move on into day 3?
Nah.
All right, ladies and gents, we're going to hit a quick ad. And then on the other side, we'll get into day number 3, which was Group A versus Group C. Let's get it. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, with day number 3. And our boy Phony showed the fuck up. PLP are the winners, or should we say Space Station Gaming? I mean,
Yeah,
we're kind
might
of
as well
speculating
just call
here.
it. Might as well just. I mean,
But
nothing official yet, but I mean, it all as well might be.
It's obvious.
Congratulations to Frack Zainu and the boy Phony for locking in.
We got to get Phony back on, man. That, like, if you think about where he came from the first time he hopped onto this pod to now, like it's really insane what he has done. Like since that moment, he has just gone on a tear, signing with different orgs, placing well in lands, doing like he has been doing really, really good. But they come away with the win. They were dominating. They had very good placement all day, and they were actually getting kills. When we had Jayhawk on the show before the season started, he had said that FaZe wasn't a good fighting team last season, and that was their issue. Right now, I mean, you're coming away with 12, 9, and 10 between all 3 players. That's gonna be a good day for you. That's gonna be a real good day. So shout out to PLP, otherwise maybe, possibly, most likely known as Space Station Gaming. They come away with the win. Going through the rest of the teams here, we got Complexity sitting at 2nd, Dark Zero sitting at 3rd, Furia sitting at 4th, and Sentinels at 5th. Some other names around here. Xset bounces back from a bad day. They go from 17th to 6th.
Which
Moist
is something
Esports
that you
sitting
love
at
to
7th.
see. They
Yeah,
needed
you needed that
6th
bounce
place.
back.
You needed that. You needed that bad.
Mm-hmm. Moist Esports at 7th, Elevate at 8th, and Disguised after a horrific start. You thought day 2 was bad. Day 3 started off horrendously for Disguise. They end up getting 9th.
14 with 0, 15 with 0, 17 with 0, 13 and 3, 18th and 1, and then first place with 12. They really just dropped shit the first 5 games, and then absolutely just make the day on their last game.
Yeah, it was a tough day for Disguise, but they come away with that game 6. You put a game 6 in front of them, they're going to take it. Legacy at 10th, N9ne Lies at 11th, Meat Lovers at 12th. Optic sitting down there at 14th. FaZe, we talked about FaZe last week. They were at 15th. They struggled this week. And then some of that basically rounds out most of the big major names for around the league. Enoch, let's kick it off with the top 5 here. We've got, obviously, PLP comes away with the win. It's really hard to tell exactly what's going well for them unless you're just completely watching the broadcast because they don't stream theirs. At least I looked and I could not find it. Maybe they do and I just missed it, but I could not find it. Anybody else from the top 5 that you wanted to talk about here before we get into some of these other storylines?
I would say very happily surprised by the performance from Complexity. This is a team that a lot of people had not the greatest amount of confidence in, and they're really showing that they can put together a fantastic day of Apex and perform what I would consider to be substantially better than a lot of people had expectations for them. And that boy Monsoon with the Sentinel. I saw you tweeted somebody else's tweet. That man was cooking.
Bro, okay, so I'm so glad you brought up Complexity because of the 3 teams I watched the most to prep for the show this week. I watched LG, I watched Disguised, and then, like you said, I was like, Complexity second? I don't remember anybody talking about Complexity. What is making them go? What makes them churn? How'd they get this second place? Dude, that guy Monsoon, I swear, any gun that has the purple ammo type, put it in his hands. That guy is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I was not familiar with his game before. I got to be honest, was not familiar with his game. My fault. You if you're not watching Monsoon on these match days, you are severely missing out, especially with this team that he's got right now. Monsoon, this is another team where I'm pretty sure he's the IGL, but they kind of all go through and they kind of all pitch ideas together. It was very phase-like from last week, except you have a guy who could pick up a Pez dispenser, put a 3 times on it, and hit 70s with it. You have a guy.
If you're wondering at home that, wow, that line sounds like it could even be a tweet maybe.
It was. I tweeted that already. I saved another one. I have another one I could use. That guy could find a stick on the ground and use a Victoria's Secret thong as like a slingshot and still hit 70s with it. That guy could pick up any single thing, put a scope on it, launch it, hit. It doesn't matter. That is what Monsoon does. He is incredible with his sniper rifle in his hands. That is what he does. It was so great to watch. Like I was saying, I don't even know if he's the IGL. He has to be the IGL, right?
Monsoon, I do believe. Maybe like a bounce of him and Lou.
Okay, because they were bouncing ideas off the entire time, and it just worked. Same thing that happened with FaZe last week. I don't know if it's sustainable long term. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if you can keep it going because usually the better teams have like the one, but they were bouncing very good ideas off of one another, quick rotates, shots coming in. All their fights seemed to go really well. They were getting themselves in good spots. And I just can't get over how good Monsoon is, dude. Like that, you want to talk about, we've said it so many times on the show, mechanically gifted players. One of the craziest moments was when they ended up having a bad game and he's running away by himself. The amount of things he was able to do, bouncing around between utility, getting shots off, getting heals off at the right times, making sure he's behind cover. Like that alone, when you've got 5 squads shooting at you, it just shows how skilled he is. Monsoon is crazy. He is insane. Complexity is going to be super fun to watch, and I'm going to be keeping a much closer eye on them. Like I said, I was not familiar with his game. I am now, and I'm watching from now on. I got to be watching Monsoon. We got to get him on this show. I want Monsoon on this show because he is disgusting. Another team, we've got once again Furia right back in the mix, and they had one of the craziest wins in this day when Keon ends up getting the final kill. I believe that was
so hype.
Oh, dude, 17-kill win, bro. This team just has like the vibe factory going. Like they just got the history with one another. All 3 of them have some sort of history.
You're just working.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, I didn't have. Yeah, you got it, dude. I am so.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm
you're
barely
good.
making it through.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Other than that, we had some teams that just didn't really perform well. I think one of the biggest names right now who people are kind of looking at and being like, what exactly is going on here is Optic. which is crazy to say because they're still sitting at 12th. They would qualify. But I think to their standards, they would probably admit that they haven't had the best days so far. Another one, obviously, is Oxygen. Oxygen, I believe that was in actually day 2, but I did want to bring them up a little bit here. Oxygen overall right now in the standings is sitting at 20th. And once again, I mean, the points from 20th to 12th is not a whole lot. It's literally like 5 points. But I do want to mention, like, Jayhawk brought this up in the preview that they had 2 new POIs and they were playing a little bit more zone oriented. Right now, it seems like they're struggling a little bit. They did say that they're going to go back to barometer, so we'll see how it goes from there. But that's one team to kind of keep an eye on. And yeah, I mean, so far so good. Right now, if we take a look at the overall standings, there is really not a whole lot of space in between these teams. You could look at a team sitting at 20th, like I said, and they're not too far away from the team sitting at 12th. So lots of teams really tight. The only two that are really separated right now are Dark Zero and Luminosity. Those are the 2 teams sitting up top at 43 points and 41. But there is a lot of time left, lots of days left, and we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, so that should just about round it out for discussions of all the storylines between day 2 and day 3. Let's get to the overall standings real quick. Don't forget, you can check this out on Liquipedia at apexlegends.com. If you go to the overview and scroll down, you'll be able to see the overall standings. You can also see it on Battlefy, which is what they use on the Play Apex stream. Click on that. Very useful tools to kind of figure out where the points are, where everything is. If we take a look at the standings here right now, Dark Zero sitting atop at the standings with 43 points. Right behind them is Luminosity with 41 points. And then it rounds out the top 5. We've got TSM at 35, Furia and Moist tied at 34. And that rounds out basically the top 5. Right behind them are E8 and Complexity, right there sitting at 6, 7, and 8 would be PLP, otherwise known as Space Station Gaming, we think. Disguise sitting at 9th, and Dropping Gaming sitting at 10th. Some of the other teams around this whole thing, we've got Optics sitting down there at 12th, the Meat Lovers at 14th, FaZe at 16th. We've got Legacy. That's a big one that hasn't, like, Legacy, unfortunately, has had some bad circumstances here where they've had some players disconnect. They've had connectivity issues. They had a weird thing go down on, I think, day 2 where they got stuck behind a C train and they couldn't move. They were stuck between a wall and the little bin. So that sucked for them. They've had a bunch of like bad things happen. Xset down there at 18th as well with Oxygen. Oxygen sitting at 20th, like I mentioned before. So lots of different surprises here in the overall standings. But once again, if you go from top 12, which right now is sitting at 21 points, and you go down to 20th, that is just separated by 5 points. So we will see how that goes. I want to throw up a quick graphic here. This one was made by Jayhawk. Let's throw it in on my screen. Head on down to the YouTube if you want to check it out. This is the performance landscape by each map. We've got World's Edge versus Stormpoint here. As you can see on the far right of the graphic, right now, Dark Zero is just dominating on both of these maps. They are a number 1 net. They're 1 on World's Edge, 2nd on Stormpoint. Some of the teams in this area, which I call the green zone, E8, Complexity, Moist, and Luminosity. All of those teams seem to be doing well on both maps. You look at Disguised, they're sitting pretty decent. They're doing well on World's Edge, their last 3 games. But on Stormpoint, they are 25th. So they're going to want to work on that just a tiny bit. And then if you look at some of the other teams, PLP sitting just outside of that, TSM very close to being in the green zone, along with Furia. And then you can see the rest of the teams down there on the bottom left. Some of the surprises there: Xset, FaZe, Oxygen, and Optic is another one down there. Just wanted to show that graph real quick because I do think it's interesting to see which teams do well on one map compared to the other. But that should just about do it there. Check out Jayhawk. He's got all these graphics. He also has another graphic showing just the point differentials based on each map. You can kind of see all of that. Check him out on Twitter at Jayhawk. Ladies and gents, let's throw it on down to the interview with N9ne Lies. They are currently sitting at 11th place in Pro League right now. That's a preseason team. They're doing well. They're doing really, really well. And we're going to talk to them a little bit and see how they became a team, how it all came together for them. Let's hit a quick ad and send it on down to N9ne Lies. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have, after very popular demand, another full team interview here. We've got 9 lives. The entire squad is here with me and E here today. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait to talk to all these guys. We got AWOP, we got Laser. Now, I asked a name question before we started the interview with AWOP. This one, it's a question, but also a little bit of a suggestion because we have either Dynastied or we have Dynastied. Which one do you lean towards? Is there a name that you kind of like? You're kind of leaning towards a little bit.
No, it's just Dynasty.
Dynasty, you like that one better? Because Dynasty
Yeah.
sounds pretty good too. I don't know.
No.
Like you have conjured up a name where it could honestly go either way, and I think they both sound sick, which is props to you. Props to you for that. But yeah, we got the whole team here. We've got Dynasty, AWOP, and Laser. Boys, you guys are currently sitting at 11th place in Pro League right now. Came in through all of the different, areas of preseason qualifiers, all of that stuff. How has it been? Like this has been a crazy journey, and not only for you guys to get here through preseason, but now you guys are sitting like you would be qualified for LAN if everything ended right now. That's got to be a great feeling.
Definitely
Yeah,
is,
it's
man.
pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been awesome here. It's been a very good time to watch you guys. Obviously, like you guys have already had 2 days in, pretty decent positions in both days. You guys, I think it was 7th on one day and 11th on the other day. I'll throw this one down to AWOP. As far as your guys' team cohesion so far, how are you guys feeling going into the next couple days for you guys?
Definitely feeling better because I mean, you look at like all the teams in Pro League and none of them really have experience in. I mean, all of them have experience in Pro League, like a Pro League setting, and we haven't had none of that. We came to PC less than a year ago, so we kind of just been getting experience playing, and you don't really get much from scrims. Scrims is like night and day on what's real compared to game day. So definitely feeling better with 2 days of experience under our belt and kind of just like little mistakes, just learning from that, getting better. So yeah, feeling good next week or 2 weeks from now.
So when you mentioned that the scrims are completely different than game day, from your guys' 2 days of experience, what would you say are the biggest differences between how they play out?
Everybody's just like it's scrims. No one. It's not game day, so you don't have anything on the line really. So people are playing more aggressive compared to game day. Everyone's kind of scared to take a fight. They're just playing more end game. So there's more teams alive, so less spots to play, and it just kind of makes it like it, just harder to get into spots and stuff. So like you play how you do on in scrims on game day, you're just gonna die.
As far as just team fighting goes and different stuff like that, have you guys noticed a little bit of difference in that as well, Laser?
Yeah, a couple. We're running into people who can shoot their gun like very well compared to like preseason where we're fighting like I want to say bots, but like upcoming teams trying to make a name for themselves as well. Not really like solidified as like yet, and like yeah, pretty much everybody in pro league can shoot their gun pretty straight. So like yeah, I mean it makes fights a little harder, but at the end of the day, we're confident in our 3v3s, so we don't let that like get to us. I should say like we don't be like oh it's such and such, and we play different from it. We still kind of like play aggressive and go from there pretty much.
So what would you guys say, and I'll throw this one over to Nasty, is your guys' like biggest strength as a team that you guys have going for you?
I think 3v3s is our biggest strength. We don't lose our 3v3s. You put us in a 3v3 with any team on the map, we won't lose. And that, if we're not getting shot in our back, like we're not gonna lose a 3v3.
Or if they don't have a damn wingman.
Yeah.
That gun is so
we-
busted.
Shit
Dude.
is too stupid. Hate it.
Yeah, no, they definitely overtuned that one. A lot of
Way
it.
too much.
A
Way
lot
too
of it.
much. So annoying.
It was
Yeah,
already
dude.
like good before they said we're gonna make the projectile size bigger as well. The fact that they decided like we got to make the bullet bigger for whatever reason, I'll never understand because the way it was already going into the package it was pretty damn good. And then they're just like, yeah, we'll just make the bullet bigger too. Why
Yeah,
not?
and,
Let's just do
and
that.
it's same headshot damage no matter your helmet too. That's just some bullshit too. Makes no sense.
Wild. Wild. Yeah, it definitely swings fights. We saw that a lot already in the first like 2 days of Pro League. But I mean, you put that gun in the hands of the best players in the world, like it's definitely going to swing some fights in some ways that aren't the best, in my opinion. And I'm sure there's other people who think the exact same way. But okay, so you guys have been playing for a long time together. Obviously, you guys were most hated for a while there. I would love to kind of see how you guys came together as a team, how the team formed, and how you guys have grown. Because obviously, you didn't start off in pro league. It's taken some time. I'll throw this one down to AWOP again. Like, how exactly did the team come together?
So Laser might be able to pitch in on this one more
You
than
want me
me,
to?
but yeah, just have Laser do it because Laser just has it better probably.
All right, so we're all from console. We're all like previous number 1 Preds, console grind. We came from console. Funny story actually. Me, Awope, and Nasty, we were what were shop enemies? Yeah, we were. I would say we were enemies. Like we didn't like each other like on console. Like I played with a certain friend group. They played with a certain friend group, and like we all knew we were good. And competitive, playing Apex competitively. You talk shit or whatnot. And that's how like I met Nasty and Awope. Like we were just talking shit back and forth from them killing us or us killing them, and then like I think we all like switched to PC around the same time. When I first came to PC, really didn't have nobody to play with. I was just solo queuing. I played with like a couple homies that were on PC, like Goat and stuff like that. But I was in somebody's Twitch chat and I was talking to somebody, and my boy God's Jinx, which is Nasty and Awoke's like friend, like they're real close type, and he asked me to play ranked and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, why not? I had nobody else to play with, and when I joined, it was Nasty. So I kind of met them there, and Nasty was telling God's Jinx like, bro, I don't think that kid's gonna play with us, bro. We had beef on console, da 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 da. So when I joined up, I told Nasty, well, I let it be known. I'm like, look, man, when we were playing on console, don't take nothing too personal. It's just all shit talk, bro. But like, shit, I'm here. I'm a vibe. Like, let's play type shit. And that's pretty much how we met. And then like from that day, just hard grinding PC rank. Just chilling out, stuff like that. We came closer and closer. And Awope and Nasty asked me to play comp with them. And at first, I didn't want to do it because God Jinx, the person who like introduced us, was supposed to be their third. But like from experience and like him playing with Nasty and them, they knew like they wanted me more type. Like yeah, they wanted me to play with them instead of God's Jinx, which sucks because I wouldn't have been as cool with Nasty and Awope if I didn't meet God's Jinx. But that's kind of how like the cookie crumbled from that day. We just became real close homies, and yes, did CC went very well. So you just stuck to it.
Yep.
And CC is a grind, man. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast where Challenger circuit, man, it's not easy, and it seems like you guys have kind of gone through that grind together. What do you think has been or I don't know, because you see a lot of teams kind of disband when you get into this scene. What has been the glue that held you guys together? Was it the vibe? Was it the pure skill and being able to perform with one another? Maybe a mixture of both. Like, what is kind of the behind the scenes thing that keeps Nine Lies together?
I just say that we all want to win, so it's kind of like we know all of us are really good, and we kind of like all complete the puzzle. Like we all have like our play styles kind of work together really well, and kind of just like little things. We don't really have like major flaws in our team. It's just little things, and us just like helping each other fix that out. Like we know that we're a good team, so like why wouldn't we stick together? We know that we can win. We know we can win any fight against any team. So it's not really a reason to disband. It's better if you stay together. You get more chemistry, just like TSM. You know, you become one of the best teams.
You got
Did you
one
have?
more? I had
thought
one and then I just completely lost it.
you lost it. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
So what would you guys say has been the biggest adjustment going from Challenger Circuit to Pro League? And for those who are listening, like, just how big of a difference is it from one to the other? And then anybody can answer.
I would say like from Challenger Circuit to what, like Pro League level. I would say it's all about like positioning and like macros, because in Challenger Circuit, a lot of people like they have no respect for nobody. Like they're just aping the lobby, playing for kills. You know, not really like uh thinking about like where zones pull in and stuff like that. Like not worried about their rotates because they can just like kill teams on their way in or whatnot. You know, from I say CC to Pro League, yes, it's mainly positioning and like your macros. Um, Also like your rotates too, because you can get punished in Pro League if you have a bad rotate or you're not positioned in the spot. You know, a team could collapse on you or not. You're getting shot across the map. In Challenger circuits, it was more of just teams like aping everybody and just going for kill points instead of placement, I would say.
Did you have something to add on to that, Nasty?
Yeah, I was thinking like Challenger Circuit is more of just like basically who can shoot their gun the best. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
You don't need an IGL in Challenger Circuit. You don't need all of that. Like maybe if you're a zone team, but it's pretty much whoever just shoots their gun the straightest and doesn't die, you're gonna win. I
So
mean
it's like
that's just how
a
it is.
like pseudo ranked almost, where you're kind of just running
Yeah,
around.
pretty
Yeah.
much. You can
Yeah.
get away with so much in Challenger Circuit that you can't get away with in Pro League.
So who is your guys' IGL? Do you have one, or is it just kind of like we throw
It's
around a
main.
few ideas and then we'll just go with whatever sounds best? Because I feel like that's what FaZe is doing right now, and it seems like it's working out pretty well for them. What are you guys cooking?
It's basically Nasty's the IGL, and then me and Laser kind of just like pointing things out. But Nasty's the main IGL, I'd say.
So
We all
Nasty-
have. Sorry.
No, you're
Go
good. You got it.
Just gonna say, like, all of us have like really good game knowledge, but it's like we've we used to not have an IGL, but it kind of is just better to have someone as IGL so that way you can have people just like focused on certain things, like just focused on like watching your back, leveling evos, just shooting people instead of like just having one person just focus on what you guys are gonna do, and then have two people like maybe add some like information and suggestions.
And Nasty, did you do anything specifically from an IGL perspective to prepare more so for Pro League than Challenger Circuit, or how has that been adapting to the substantially higher level of play from
I mean,
like the
yeah.
other teams that you're against?
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of VODs. Like, I watch all of our games. I watch, all the good IGLs. I see what they do. I also have one of my really good friends who's, he's like kind of like my coach, I guess. Like, he's helped me this whole way, like through IGLing and Pro League. His name is Pubsky, and he does a really good job of like explaining to me what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, stuff like that. And that's helped a lot.
Do you have a style you kind of like for anybody who's not familiar with your game? Is there a style you kind of replicate after, or are like close to?
Like our game, like as a team, or like me?
I would say IGL style. So for example, Sweet is very micro. I would say he's pointing out a lot of different things. Is that like, are you? I guess the better question would be: are you more of a micro IGL or more of a macro?
I don't really like try to point out the small things to Laser and Whoop because they're two, really good players, and I consider them both co IGL, so they can, pretty much do things on their own. And if they mess up, they know where they messed up, and they're just gonna fix it. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't have to tell them step by step instructions what to do. They kind of like already know. If I say we're gonna play here, that's where we're gonna play, and we got to get there. Like that's just it. I don't got to tell them like, hey, you know, you're gonna bang out at this time, and then you're gonna Horizon Q then, and then you're gonna Horizon all. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like kind of all in sync.
Did Laser just die?
No, my bad.
I'm just making sure you're good, bro.
No, I had to grab a drink out the mini fridge. My bad.
You're all good. You're all good. You're all good.
Why? What did y'all hear? Like,
I don't know. It sounded like somebody was crawling through. You know, like the blinds on your window. It sounded like somebody was crawling through some blinds or some shit.
yeah, I was opening up a plastic bag, grabbing a drink.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so obviously with being an IGL, the conversation I think a lot of times is there's not that many good IGLs out there, and people talk about trying to find a good IGL is very difficult. Looking at your body of work right now, you're literally sitting in 11th place in Pro League in the hardest region out of all of the regions. There's no debate. There's no question. NA is the best region, hardest region. And you're sitting in a prime position to keep it going. Like, that's got to feel good for you. Is there anything you changed, right? But like, is there something you want to kind of change moving forward to keep pushing in the right direction for you guys as far as an IGL goes?
I mean, the biggest things with us is the biggest things are the smallest things with us, to be honest. It's just the little tiny mistakes. I feel like the biggest thing that we've had to overcome is like changing our characters. Like coming from, you know, PSQ, CC, stuff like that, like we didn't really know like what characters best fit each other, so we kind of played like who we liked. And now that we're in Pro League, we've had to make changes, you know, way to swap up characters. Like it all depends. Like if we're contested, we're swapping characters on it, you know, within each other and stuff like that.
So what do you guys think is going to be your team comp that you'll have for the season, and do you guys change depending on which map you're on?
So we land Barrow. Right now we're contested by OXG, and we're gonna be playing Conduit, Horizon Bangalore from Barrow, and then if we're not contested, we play Catalyst. But when we're contested, we play that comp because it's too good to contest.
Yeah,
with.
Conduit is just too strong.
Yeah, we switched
Especially
Conduit.
on a contest, it's just not even. It's not even silly.
Exactly. Like if we're not contested, we play Catalyst instead of Conduit, and then you know it's the same thing on all the other maps. If we're not contested, we're gonna play Catalyst. If we are, we're gonna play Conduit.
Do you guys think that at some point you guys will rip Conduit, regardless of contest, if she becomes more picked up by more teams? Or are you guys confident that you guys are just substantially that much better than everybody at 3v3 that you don't need the extra fighting power that Conduit gives you, being able to get back into the fight significantly faster?
I mean, I wish Horizon would get nerfed so we could play Conduit all the time, but you know, with Horizon, it makes fights so much more easier, lifting up to high ground, you know, stuff like that. And Catalyst's wall is just too good. Like, you cut people's LOS off, you can fight people with walls. Her wall is so good. So I mean,
Her
I would
passive as well, like being able to like, you know, take buildings and be able to defend them buildings from people like rotating in as well, try to get a spot in zone too.
The conduit versus Horizon thing's been getting talked about a lot, and obviously the compositions, you know, it seems like they stay the same for a long time, and then we get a major switch up in what we get. Where it stands right now, are you guys cool with the composition that's been going down for the better part of? It's been a while now, where I feel like we've had the Catalyst, Bangalore, and the Horizon. Would you guys like to see something new?
I would love to see something new. I hate this meta.
Can't
You can't
see shit meta.
anything. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't see anything at all.
Yeah.
There's just cat spikes, cat wall, bang smoke in your face. Like, it's just so aggravating.
When you think about compositions from the past, was there one you wish you could have played in a little bit more or been in pro league for?
Gibby
Uh,
Caustic Valk. Hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say that as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably the coolest comp I think.
All right,
Gibby Caustic
who's
Valk.
playing who if Gibby
Yeah,
Caustic
yeah.
Valk makes a comeback?
Wope's gonna play Caustic.
Yeah, but I
Good
was
man,
slamming you
good
in the
man.
bub. I was slamming you in the bub, so I don't know.
I mean,
Hey, all I'm gonna say is I used to main Gibby now.
I haven't 1v laser in the bub, so who knows? Nasty's not playing Gibby. He was getting slammed.
Oh shit.
this kid,
So
this
that's
kid
how you
bet.
guys
Nah.
decide who gets the Gibby Doobie? Is
He bet
who's dubbing in the bubble fights?
he bet me like $1,000 one time, and I beat him. And he
No,
tried
he
to say
didn't.
I didn't beat him,
No, he didn't.
and then we ran it back, and he beat me the second time.
There you go.
No, he did not beat me.
I did. I beat him the first time.
You know what's crazy though is like that comp gets brought up so often, and you always think like, why would anybody want to comp with Caustic in it? What is like for the people who don't understand? Because this, you guys aren't the only ones who say Valk Gibby Caustic. What was it about that meta that was so much better than what we have now, or maybe not even what we have now, or just why was it so much better than all the other ones?
I feel like it was more balanced, because Caustic counters Caustic, Gibby counters Gibby, and Valk. I mean, she doesn't really do much. I mean, besides flying your team into zone and maybe like missiling people and getting that poke damage. But yeah, I say overall it was more like balanced.
You could
Because
actually see.
now with the Bang Cat and Horizon meta, if you don't have a Digi, you're not seeing through any of them smokes. Like it gives a team an advantage, almost having a Digi and like you not having one.
Yeah.
You got it.
No, I thought you had it. I don't even have one right now. I don't got one lined up. You got one?
Okay, yeah. All right, so we briefly got into y'all's background as console players who then ended up playing on PC and really forming that team there. But if you guys don't mind, could we get a little bit of a quick summary of each of y'all's history in gaming, and then specifically getting into Apex and then realizing that becoming one of the best in the world was something that you guys wanted to pursue?
I'll go first. I started gaming when I was like a little kid. I would say around like the age of like 4 or 5. I was playing Mortal Kombat on Nintendo. It was started off with me with like street fighting games, and then I really got into like first person shooters like Call of Duty and stuff like that. Was always a grinder. I think I had like always had like that competitive side in me, but really didn't pursue it until like I started playing Apex. I played Apex like the first week it came out, and I played for like 2 days and then quit playing it because Fortnite, that was like my main game at the time. I love Fortnite, especially in its prime. I wish we could go back to them days, but you can't. But yeah, and after Fortnite kind of like took a shit, I switched back to Apex. Started playing Apex some more. So it started growing on me a lot, and then I got into playing ranked and stuff like that. Because at first I wasn't playing ranked. I was just playing pubs with like IRL homies, chilling, having a good time and stuff like that. But then once I got into the rank grind, it was kind of like up from there. Getting the top 10 pred multiple times and stuff like that. Kind of like I want to say I have an ego, but like boosted my ego. Like damn, I could really go pro with this or something like that. And that was kind of like the start for me. And then when I switched to PC, that was kind of like the icing on the cake. Like why have a PC if I'm not trying to like do something with it? Like I get it's cool and all playing with your friends and stuff like that, but making a profession out of it is actually like 10 times better.
Well said.
You want to go, Nasty?
Sure. So I started gaming probably when I was like, I don't know, probably like a 12 around there. I can't even remember what game I started playing. Maybe like BO2 or something. I have no idea. I started playing BO2. I played a lot of ranked in BO2. Now I didn't really game much until my senior year of high school. After that, That's when COVID hit in my senior year of high school. I started playing a lot of Warzone. And I was really good at that. And then I seen Tfue swap to Apex, and I waited like probably like 4 or 5 months after Tfue swapped, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this game a try. And I think I started in season 11 or 12 playing Apex, and then I kind of just like I was always good at first person shooter games, so like switching to Apex, it wasn't hard. Like I played a lot of Warzone. I was like a semi-pro Warzone player in the first Warzone. Um, so like swapping to Apex wasn't like something that was really challenging. It was like fairly easy, because console players aren't the best players. They're, it's pretty easy. And then we started playing like these little tournaments on console. We're like, all right, damn, we're pretty good. And then I bought a PC, and then we're just here now.
There we go. There we go. AWOP.
So I first video game I played was probably Halo at my one homie's house, and then I kept going to this other homie's house to play Halo because my parents didn't like shooting games. So then after a little bit, my brother got an Xbox, and I would just play video games there that were like not really shooters, but as I was growing older, my parents were like more lenient. I was into like Destiny, CODs, all that, and then I started to play COD for like wagers and stuff. So I played that, made some money, and then when Apex came out, that was like when Fortnite was out as well. But I tried it, played season 0, played it for a little bit. I liked it, but it wasn't Fortnite, so I went back to Fortnite. And then I think I had tried Apex again in like season 8, played it for like half a season with my homie, and then stopped playing it, and then picked it back up in season 12, and then just kept playing, finding new people, met Nasty, played those tournaments he was talking about, and then switched to PC, met Laser, and then yeah, got into Pro League.
It's always crazy how whenever we talk to anybody in Pro League, they're like, yeah, I just started playing and then I was in Pro League. And it's just so funny because to any random shitter, it's like they're trying so hard to figure out how to be good. And it's like all the pros we talk to are like, yeah, I just started playing. I just got there. Like, yeah, I'm just better than you. It's really funny. I did have one question for Laser though. Who is the Mortal Kombat main?
For me, it was Scorpion, man. Get
There we
over
go.
here. That was
Yeah,
that was
gotta
too
do it.
OP.
Yeah.
And Sub-Zero too. I'm not gonna lie. I like Sub-Zero a lot.
I mean, yeah, you got to. Have you played the new one yet or no?
No,
All Apex.
Yeah, I mean, once like I started getting into like first person shooter games, it was like them street games didn't mean shit to me. Like
Yeah.
I stopped playing it because it's like one dimensional, like it gets repetitive
It
like
does.
after so long. So like I kind of grew bored of that, and then I started like playing like actual like first person shooter games like COD. COD was like so fun, staying up real late, playing them dominations or them headquarters. I used to play a lot of free for all as well. I was one of them kids that would like red gun the last and then try to go for a trick shot.
Yeah, no, no. I 100% agree with what you said about fighting games being like after a while they just get repetitive. It's always the worst when somebody like busts it out and you're playing Mortal Kombat. It kind of feels like when you're playing catch on the beach, like you're tossing a football back and forth, and like none of you want to like walk away to just stop. That's what it feels like playing Mortal Kombat. It's like, all right, I guess I'll go again, and then you just keep playing until eventually it's just like, man, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like, I can we play anything else, anything at all? That's what ends up happening every single time with that game. But it is kind of fun. I will say the new one is pretty fun. Okay, so let's take a quick step back and look at what we've got going for the rest of Pro League here. We've got a lot of days left. Things have looked good so far. You guys have a really good chance right now. And honestly, if you take a look at the landscape, you're one of the better teams to come out of preseason qualifiers. It's like you and E8 are doing really, really good. What do you think separated you from the rest of the preseason qualifier teams, because you guys were all like, I think everybody who was watching the PSQs knew that you guys were going to make it no matter what. It was always like you guys were almost going to win, but it didn't really matter because you guys had enough points to get through. What do you think was the difference between you and the rest of the teams in preseason?
I would say like our fighting capability when it came to like 3v3s, we would like just steamroll teams, run over them. And also like we kind of just played our own game, we like just because we were in lobbies with like other people who are known or whatnot and stuff like that. We still at the end of the day just played our game, didn't grief nobody intentionally, and like I mean we did. I'm not gonna lie, we did grief a team, but that was like
They
more
deserved
of
it.
that
They
was
had it
more of
coming.
like us getting like I wouldn't say revenge, but like don't start something you can't finish. You feel me? Like we're one of them teams, you don't mess with us, we won't mess with you type shit. And like we just got tired of getting the short end of the stick, teams thinking they can just, run over us and not have any repercussions. So we kind of did grief a team in PSQ, but other than that, we just played our game out, yeah, we're really strong in our 3v3s.
And
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that kind of like dictated our macro because people we put fear into people's hearts in the PSQs, man. Our rotates were free as hell, man. Everybody was running away.
damn,
Yeah,
that was the most confident answer I've ever heard.
it's the truth.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
I
Yeah.
love it though. I love it though. And now you guys, speaking of, people trying to get out of your way and also teams trying to mess with you. Now it seems like you've got this contest coming up with Oxygen, and that's relatively new, correct? Because they had just
Yeah.
said that they were trying to go back to Barometer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do we got going on? What are we cooking up here? Are you guys worried at all, or how are you guys gonna take this this contest coming up here?
I mean,
We're not worried.
Go ahead, Nasty. I'll let you speak.
We're not worried about it. We scrimmed today. We were double conned at both of our POIs that we land at. At Big Mod Stacks, we were conned by Moist. We 4-0'd Moist. Well, was it a 4-0 or a 3-0? Who knows, because they ran away. But
It was a 3-0, but if you're gonna call it a 4-0, then the 4 was in our favor because they didn't even land at Stacks.
yeah, they didn't even land at us. We 3-0'd them and they didn't land on us again.
And then we killed 2 of them later in that game.
Yeah, and then at Barrow today we 2-2'd Oxygen. It should have been 3-1, but we kind of sold. But we're pretty confident. You put us in a 3v3, we're the team to put your money on.
What makes you guys so good at the 3v3s?
I think it's our
Or you
chemistry.
guys just better?
It's our chemistry, our skill set. Like, we know how each other play. Like, we know how to aggress with each other, when not to. I would just say it's more of like our chemistry, really.
Yeah, we play like very well around each other.
It's an interesting dynamic between the contest with you guys and Oxygen, because Oxygen is very similar to how you guys came up, right? Last season, they were the team that had been sticking together for a very, very long time. It looked like certain members were going to get poached. They opted to stay with the team. They join Oxygen. They get signed. They go all the way into Pro League. They do a really, really good job. They place well. They have some good finishes there. And it seems like you guys are kind of filling in those shoes now. They come in the next season, a little bit of expectations. They haven't played as well as a lot of people expected them to. And now we've got N9ne Lies coming in looking like a mirror image of what Oxygen was last season. I just wonder how, like, for you guys, how quickly would it take if the contest goes south for you guys to kind of move? Because a lot of people, it just really just depends on the team. Do you guys have a strat for if you guys have to move?
I mean, there's a lot of teams that are pretty bad, like that we know we can beat 100% every single time. That have decent POIs, so if it were to come to that, we would just find a team and bully them out of their POI more than likely.
Just from the pure just fighting standpoint.
I mean, we're triple controller, so it's kind of hard to, when you got like 2 M&K players on your team versus triple controller, it's not really much of a match, I don't think.
Do you guys think that there is a disadvantage to not having at least one of you guys on M&K, or do you guys think that the triple controller is the best.
I mean,
There's
I
advantages and disadvantages.
yeah, like with M&K, you can get away with so much. You can go out, loot boxes, you know what I mean? You can tap strafe, stay alive. Like, there's so many M&K players, if they were on controller, they would die, but they don't because they have tap strafe. And then, like, with, long range, I think M&K is a lot better for long range, for poking, things like that. But, you get 50 meters within us, we're just going to hit you for 200.
Yeah. No, it's always interesting to go through the psychology of any sort of contest, especially when it gets into pro league, because we've already seen some teams leaving contests early on in pro league. Some teams trying to find a new place. Obviously, Oxygen is one of those. They're trying to find a new spot. I don't know if theirs was because of a contest, but they're just trying to get things going. But you've got Legacy and Moist having a contest. There's a lot of different things that go on, so it's always interesting to see what other teams say about contests. Okay, so let's get into we're just about to round this bad boy out here. It's been a pleasure having you guys on. I really do appreciate all of you guys coming in. What was the expectation before you guys you guys get into pro league, okay? Was your expectation immediately to be like, we're going to make it all the way to LAN? Or was it more of a measured approach of, let's see how this first thing goes. Let's see how we can hang with the big boys. And then from there, we can try to posture and find different ways to move forward. Like what exactly is the vibe going in for the rest of this season?
We're trying to win. We're trying to go to LAN, win.
Yeah, we kind of came into this with the mindset of we're the best. I feel like that's really good to have because, like I said, you don't want to oh, this is TSM. We shouldn't fight them or get scared because of a name, I should say. We just kind of play our game, come in there with the attitude of we're the best, we're gonna win it, and yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these teams have so much more experience than us. That's why they're so much more I feel better on their macro, micro, whatever you want to call it. They know where to play, when to play, how to play, because they've had so many years of experience doing this stuff, and we just got to come in and do what we do best, basically.
Well, it definitely seems like you guys are making up well for the lack of experience, you guys are outperforming teams that have been playing just leaps and bounds longer than you guys. So that's something that you absolutely love to see.
Yep.
And you got to respect just freshly coming over from console to PC within the last year. That's insane.
Yeah, that's pretty baller.
That's crazy.
That's baller for sure.
Yep. Just more experience and then just learn stuff from each week.
Yep.
Be at LAN.
We got everything to gain, nothing to lose. That's the way I look at it.
It's a good mindset, for sure. Okay, so just a quick personal one for me. So I would say that right now is the most balanced the SMGs, at least on the floor, are across the board. Which one is your go-to at the moment?
I would I don't know. I like all of them, but if I have all three with fully kitted, I'd probably take the Volt, to be honest.
That's where I'm at right now. I feel like the 9, it kills a little bit faster if you absolutely just hit every single shot.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just ridiculously easier to one clip with a Volt, and especially mid-range, that shit is just frying.
Oh yeah.
What about y'all?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Volt, but I really do love the R9. I feel like even though they kind of nerfed it, I feel like it's a really strong weapon as well. I feel like you can do damage faster in fights rather than having a Volt.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm mid game, I want a Volt, but if I'm end game, I want an R9. R9 kills faster, but Volt's if you're on Bangalore, you should want a Volt to shoot through smoke. But if you're just you're playing Horizon, I mean Volt's good, but R9 can just clip someone greater jiggle peak damage, kill someone faster. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between a Volt and a R9.
Yeah, I think it really just depends on how you're playing it. At least in the way that I've thought about it is if I was entry fragging and I was first point of contact, I'd want to have the the R9. But then if I'm more playing like a supportive role, like on Conduit or somebody, where I'm gonna be more in that like mid distance a little bit more. I'd rather have the Volt because I feel like I'll be able to do more damage overall.
Yeah.
And then I feel like
agree.
it also just depends on whether or not you have a repeater or a hemlock. Because switching to a hemlock after there's like a guy one shot off of your 9 spray is way better than hitting that
30.
9 spray being one off and then just you're
Yep.
like, I really hope this 30 will work this time.
Yep. No, 100%. Definitely agree. Yep.
Good looks. All right. Well, why are you got anything else, or should I rip the last?
Rip the last one.
All right, guys. So the question that I ask everybody who comes on the pod, because everybody who comes on the pod is performing in the top 1% of the field that they're working in, and you guys certainly fit the bill for that, is what is one thing that you've learned along this journey that's allowed you to get to this place that somebody could take and apply to their own journey to the top 1%, regardless of what it was that they were trying to achieve that in?
For me at least, I would just say patience. Don't overdo it. Just kind of take it slow and steady. You'll improve.
Yeah, trust the process.
Okay,
Uh,
well,
I don't know, man. I'd say don't. Yeah, kind of like what Laser said. Don't try to do it all at once. You can't like. See, I used to like try to skate a little bit. Like when COVID hit, I would just be like longboarding and with friends and skating a little bit. I sucked at kickflips, man, because I was trying to do everything at once instead of like just like kind of doing the basics and then building up from there. Like don't focus on the advanced stuff. Focus on the basics and then build off that kind of.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think a lot of times people like in any field, you see a lot of times with like people who want to get into like streaming or something too. They'll stream for one day and then they'll be like, I got to get merch going. It's like, hold on now, hold on. Let's
Yep.
stream for more than 2 days in a row before we get some merch out there, bud. But yeah, no, I think that's really solid advice. So thank you guys once again. I do have one last question here because I was doing some research for this show. I wanted to learn a little bit more about you guys, and I found your guys' roster announcement, and it was from 9ne Lies, and it said we're announcing our brand new team. We have Dynastied, we have AWOPE, and then we have at kinda ass _ and Laser. I kind of think we should bring back the old Twitter ad. I kind of like kinda
Look,
ass _ That was
I'm not.
that was a great Twitter ad.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I said the same shit, but like my name being Laser, and like I didn't want people to get confused or whatnot, so I just made it simple and switched to Laser.
Yeah.
But funny story about that name is I used to have that name on console. My console name used to be Kinda Ass, and it got banned because I used to play console Rust a lot, and that game is like mad toxic. You take somebody's loot or you raid their base, they'll say some crazy shit. You might talk shit back, and pretty much that account got permabanned because I got so many like reports on my name and stuff like that like they would make PSN would make me change my name, and I would change it back to Kinda Ass because I'm like, bro, I had this name for 2 years and like nothing ever happened. Like
How are
if I was allowed to put it on PlayStation, like why it takes for somebody to report it for it
Yeah,
to get banned? Like
Kinda
hello?
ass is like the lowest thing you could say. Like, there's way more offensive names out there than kinda
Man.
ass.
Who are
It's
you
honestly
telling?
roasting yourself
Self,
more than
yeah.
anybody else.
Like, what?
What are you talking? No, I thought it would be so funny because when I saw the announcement, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. And if imagine if the ALGS team had to broadcast that like in a late game, you guys are like in final circle trying to survive, and then let's go to kinda asses pod. I was laughing thinking about that, but I just want to bring that up. I vouch for the old one, but if we stick with Laser, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that too. I thought
Appreciate it.
I'd throw it out there. I wanted everybody else to know. If you're thinking about taking kinda ass, don't. Because that's Laser's. That's his. All right, well, boys, this has been an awesome interview. I appreciate you guys hopping on, and you guys are playing great right now. Like, it is really fun to watch. It's really cool to see. Once again, we've got an oxygen situation all over again, where we have a team who stuck with each other in a world in gaming where people really are kind of just abandoning one another left and right. You guys have stuck together and you're making it work. So it's It's nice to see, man. It's really nice to see. We hope you guys do good the rest of Pro League, and hopefully by the end of this thing, we're not just in Pro League. Hopefully we're raising a trophy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's the dream. That's the
That's
plan.
Right. That's right. All right, boys. Thank you once again.
Appreciate you for having us, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was 9 Lies. Shout out 9 Lies. I do want to see the $1,000 1v1 between Dynastied and AWOP again. I'd love to see who actually comes away with that. There was some controversy there. I want to see who wins that. Also, AWOP, he was funny in that. There's some moments there where you can tell he gets a little fiery when it comes to teams either contesting or somebody like calling them out. And I would love to see him in the future with this contest between him and Oxygen, or them and Oxygen, I should say. Should get a little fiery. That might be a team you want to watch their stream if they're playing, going up against Oxygen, and they come away with the win on that contest. Keep your eyes peeled on that, ladies and gents. Okay, before we get into the heart-to-heart this week, a discussion popped up from the stream, from the Play Apex main stream, where they brought on Raven, who's been on the show, friend of the program, came on and talked a little bit about the difference between having a Conduit on the team and a Horizon on the team. And I kind of wanted to get your opinion because it seems like TSM is staying hard away from Conduit. They are saying, no, we are going to go with the Horizon. That is who we're going to stick with. Even in day one, I believe they were running the Fuse at one point. So I wanted to get your thoughts from watching these last 2 days. Where do you lean? Are you more Conduit would help the team more, or Horizon would help the team more? And maybe not TSM specifically, just more in general.
Yeah, I think right now I would say I'm leaning towards that. I think that Conduit provides more in terms of like survivability. Like obviously there are going to be moments where having Horizon Q is going to be huge, and the ability to take high ground can be game changing, as well as that all can make fights much easier. But overall, I think that the amount of HP that you get out of the Conduit Q, as well as how effective that ultimate is for building fights, as well as late games, I would put Conduit as somebody who I would want to have on the team more so than a Horizon if you were going to pick one or the other. I know that a lot of teams. Well, I know that there's the comp of Horizon, Conduit, and Bangalore, which I think has a lot of promise. But the only problem with that is that you do not have a cat.
And you kind of need that wall. Like as we've seen with some of these other teams playing, like you kind of have to have the wall. I can't imagine what LG's day is looking like without the wall. A lot of revives, a lot of opportunities to get fights set up, get fights going, get rotates moving, all of that. You have to have a cat. I lean more on the side of Conduit as well. I just feel like it helps a lot more in a fight. I know that the major thing for Horizon is the ultimate. And it's really hard to argue that. And I'm a little bit biased as well. I like playing Conduit. I just feel like she helps so much. The other thing that I noticed a lot with Luminosity, with them playing the Conduit versus the Horizon, is that when you have the Conduit going, if you're in a situation where you have a zone that is very close to your POI and you don't have the opportunity to loot a whole lot other than kills, you have that heal that allows you to not have to use cells and bats very often if you're not in a dangerous situation, right? Because you're going to use the cells and the bats when you need to. But if you're just poke fighting until the next circle comes in, it's perfect for that because you're able to preserve all of those heals for when you're actually going to be in the midst of things and needing them, which I found to be very useful. And I think Luminosity would tell you right now, it was very useful for them as well. There was multiple times where Sweet would just peek. They were able to get purples because of a Q, like because of a tactical, just purely off the tactical. He didn't have to waste anything. You think about if they don't have that Q, if they don't have that tactical, then he's probably not peaking as much. They probably don't get the purple armors, and who knows what happens after that. I mean, it can change an entire fight.
And it also denies Evo damage, I believe, on the people who are shooting them.
Hmm.
That might have been fixed, but I do not believe you get Evo damage based upon conduit damage. I could be
Mhm.
wrong though. Because if that
Yeah.
is the case, that's just like you're gaining free poke while denying people's ability to farm it. But also
Yeah.
that whole take could be wrong.
It could be. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that either. But either way, like I find her right now to be a little bit more useful, and I think they're using her a lot more in the other regions. But right now, NA seems to be hard stuck on in their ways from last season. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that continues, and we'll see if eventually that change will be made. Who knows? Because season 20 is right around the corner, and that might change everything anyway. We might have a whole new meta. I'm not 100% sure, but I did see some leaks that I won't say. But we could see some meta changes here pretty quickly. Okay,
You
all
want to
right,
talk about
ladies
that
and
or no?
huh?
You want to talk about the leak that the armor? There's going to be no ground. There's going to be no armor on the ground.
We could save that
Or do you want to
for
wait
next
until it
week because
happens?
isn't there a few weeks before we get the next day?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, let's do that then.
Heard.
We get one day next week, and then none for a while. But I was actually talking about the leak where Loba's going to allow you to pull 3 things out of her thing instead of 2.
Oh,
I
I don't
saw
think that
that in there.
changes too much.
No, it doesn't. Okay, I didn't know.
I mean,
People use Loba sometimes, so I figured maybe.
yeah. I mean, I would say that's a huge buff to the SK2 team, like the one team
Yeah, I saw
in
them.
challengers that
about
rips
that.
it.
Okay, ladies and gents, well, that should just about do it for our discussion on Conduit versus Horizon. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about each of those legends and where you think they should fit. You can have the discussion down in the Discord. Click the link down below and you can join it there. Let's send it on down to the heart to heart and send you guys on the rest of your week. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gents, it is heart to heart time. Heart to heart time. E, you want me to go? Or do you got it?
Yeah, you can rip it. So if you're gonna
Yeah.
volunteer, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Heart to heart this week. Don't really have one, if I'm gonna be honest here. It was just a very relaxing, good week. I got some cool gear, like I just showcased in the last segment, that I've been working with. And like I said, I've been trying to put in a lot more work, a lot more research into these match days. And that's pretty much been taking full control of everything else. Just watching VODs, getting more comfortable with all of the different players. And some of the ones I'm not too familiar with, like Monsoon, probably should have been more familiar with Monsoon as long as he's been in the game. But like, I'm just having a lot of fun learning more and more about Pro League. And it's been a good time. That's basically my heart to heart. Other than that, my family's doing well. Can't ask for too much more than that. E, your heart to heart this week.
Yeah. I would say I'm just focused on just feeling good. And I'm just gonna no matter like what I'm going through, no matter how the ranked games are, no matter how frustrating some of the circumstances that I'm around, I'm just gonna say screw it. I'm just gonna feel good. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy my time, and we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna keep doing that, and make that a priority of one of the things that I focus on, and see where it takes me.
The gym's been good though, right?
Dude, gym has been. I've been getting. I mean, before this, I had my little cardio session, and then I've been getting it after it in the sauna, as well. Been ripping fairly consistent, like 3 to 4 times a week. I'm gonna be getting saunas in, or not, some time in the sauna, and that's been fire. And just overall, I mean, I'm very like. I mean, I like to think of like my life as like a piece of art, and you're painting that shit the whole time, and like you can, at whatever area of like that painting you want to improve and get better on, you just need to learn the skills and improve and get better on, and then you can make that part of your painting better. And so I'm thankful that I'm on like I'm getting back into the gym, and I'm like getting after it, and seeking that improvement in that area of my life, because I know that it's gonna be really nice. Like when I'm 2 years down the line of like taking this shit seriously again, I'm gonna be really, really, really happy. Like, I mean, I'm really, really happy right now with where I'm at, but like, it's gonna be nice to finally see the like the sculpture that is my body, I guess you could say, look a little bit better.
Yeah, I have to bring this up because it made me laugh so hard because obviously, you know, I've been talking to you for what, over a year now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're always very eloquent with the way that you can bring about like personal growth, change, all that. And I love it. I think it's great. It's actually helped me out in a lot of ways, and you know that. But this made me laugh when you tweeted out the every workout is a funeral for a weaker version of myself, and
Yes,
result
sir.
and Resulta
That was
said,
so funny.
"Man, just
That was
push the
so
weight
funny.
up." I laughed
Dude, that
so
was so
hard.
funny. It was
Oh
such a
my
fire. It
God.
was such a fire response.
Yeah.
Like, I think that my tweet is fire and that it's good.
No,
but
it wasn't.
at the same time, Jordan's tweet is fire and it's good,
so good.
and it's so fucking
good.
funny.
Yeah.
And so
Enoch tweets that out, and then Resulta just push the weight up like that.
it was a cardio day for me too. So I was about to say that, but I was like, eh.
That was so
rock.
funny.
I gave it a like. You already know I gave it a like. That shit was so funny.
Yeah, we gotta talk to Resulta too. I know he hasn't played in a
Yeah.
long time, but that's a guy who was playing with design when they were doing well, and he's also like he was for a while a big workout guy, right? I don't know if
Yeah,
he's
I
still.
believe he still is. Yeah, I'm pretty confident he's getting after it.
Yeah, that tweet, that was so fun. Both of the tweets were like, they made me laugh. Like that, it was good. It was really good. I loved it. Well, I'm glad to see you doing well in this workout journey, and I think you bring up a good point too, because people like they kind of give up after a few weeks, and then they're like, a few months will go by. Like, what if I just stayed even the slightest bit consistent? Maybe I didn't go all out on one day, but I just showed up every day. Like, where would I be now? And I think that's such a great point because I've had that thing too. It's like you work out for 2 weeks and then you stop because something happens, and then like 2 months go by. You're like, what if I just stayed and just did the bare minimum? I'd still be in a much better spot than where I am now. You know, like it's one of those things that happens, but sometimes life will get you, and you just got to keep stay on the horse somehow. But yeah, no, I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Okay, ladies and gents, that should just about do it here for this version of the Apex, the podcast. 2 days are always a little hectic. Not gonna lie, it's hard to touch every single base, but hopefully we got most of the good storylines out there for you guys to digest a little bit. We will catch you guys next week for another episode of the Apex, the podcast. See you.